Good evening, everyone. Thank you so very much for taking the time to join us for this webinar this evening. We're very excited to be sharing this new program being launched from SLDC through ARPA funds. And so today we will walk through an informational session for this specific program to provide you all as much information as possible to be able to respond in a way that is according to your organizational purposes and alignment. So again, my name is Lance Knuckles. I am the Deputy Executive Director of St. Louis Development Corporation, and I will be walking you through this presentation today, again, to ensure that we provide you with as much concrete information as possible. So I had a little technical difficulty there, so we'll get us going again. So again, we're here for the 30% AMI rental unit production program. It's a program that is launching to support affordable housing here in the St. Louis area. Today, we'll cover a few key areas, including a funding overview, the program purpose, high-level eligibility, and the evaluation and rating process associated with this program, and then making sure everyone has information how to submit the application to SLDC. So this funding is being brought to this community through CDA and SLDC as a part of a $37 million allocation of the Corona State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, identified clearly in Board Bill 82. And if you have access to Board Bill 82, you can actually use the link in this information. And there's also a link on the webpage that we'll talk a little bit more about later during this conversation. But this program is being funded to the tune of $4 million to support these efforts. SLDC does reserve the right to not use the entire funds if we do not have applications warranting the entire deployment of the $4 million of funds. The program purpose is really to support the St. Louis community as we continue to move forward on our economic justice action plan, and our mayor, Mrs. Mayor Shashara Jones, is moving forward with the roadmap for racial equity. We are really excited about this work, and this program is really designed to help us target family members and residents in our community at the 30% AMI level and below. We know that it's critical for our organization to provide a comprehensive continuum of housing for our residents here in St. Louis, ranging from market rate and again, down to support our families who are at 30% AMI and below. So this program is designed to be able to do that. And more importantly, we're focusing these efforts to be targeting residents within, or projects, I should say, within HUD qualified census tracts, which in this case encompasses the majority of North St. Louis and parts of Southern St. Louis, including Dutchtown and the area known as the Patch. And so we're really excited about making this program available for everyone. There are two critical eligibility criteria for projects being considered in this program. One is their private builders and nonprofits must demonstrate they have the appropriate housing development experience and sufficient financial capacity for the proposed project. So we're really looking to support existing developers and owners who are moving forward. This is about supporting the small developer as well. And so smaller developers are encouraged to participate and apply to this program if they meet the guidelines of the entire program itself. Again, focusing on building rental housing production at 30% AMI. There are two really primary ineligible parties for this program, and that will be state and federal debarment lists. So those who have been debarred from doing work or activities with the state or federal government would not be eligible to participate in this program. The other is entities that have not paid or failed to pay city income and or property taxes in previous years. And so all businesses or developers who are submitting for this program would need to be current on their taxes to ensure that we're operating or working with an organization that is viable and actually an active business that is current in all of its statuses. So there's a few key criteria that we'll be rating these projects on. I think it's really important to make sure folks understand the criteria, and as you go through the application, keeping in mind what these criteria are. There's real critical things around the benefit that comes with the affordable housing project or the 30% AMI project, i.e. services that are being brought to bear, whether it's employment, social services, or job training skills, or financial literacy skills that are being brought to the residents within these programs is really important. I think the other things are to be taken into consideration is where the projects are located for sure, but then also really thinking about the level of financial participation that is being sought. So projects that are seeking support from this program are encouraged to really be thoughtful around the percentage of funds that are being secured, and more specifically, that the funds being secured from this program is allowing you to close the financial gap to be able to move the project forward and not leveraging these funds as early pre-development dollars or dollars to be leveraged to bring other resources to the table. So again, I want to be mindful to share with you all that these are funds to close a capital stack, not to start your capital stack on your project. The rating elements are across 4 different areas of criteria. One is the applicant's qualification and experience. In this space, we're really asking questions around the development team itself. Where's the organization located? Specific or past projects that have been completed, the overarching capacity of the institution, and the ability for the organization to execute. The other criteria is really focused on project cost and financial feasibility. Again, this section is really focused on understanding what is the capital stack of the project, what's the feasibility, i.e. if there's a project that's being presented and there is a substantial gap, let's just say $5 million, that would not be considered feasible, whereas this program is only allowed a $4 million allotment. And so we want to make sure projects are keeping in mind, 1, the size of the funding pool, but also 2, the feasibility of the project that is being presented to this program for consideration of funding. The other component would be accessible and sustainable design. As we continue to move forward around equitable access, we do have to be mindful that as we all age in place, ADA compliance becomes an issue for all of us as residents as we become more seasoned in our lives. And so looking at projects that will prioritize and consider ADA compliance will also get strong consideration, as well as the idea of using sustainable design to ensure that these projects are being done in a way that allows them to be transformed long-term and minimize the adverse impact to not only the residents, but the environment, creating some long-term sustainability for our residents and for the rental housing stock here in the city of St. Louis. The final criteria would be the resident quality of life. As I mentioned earlier, thinking about the benefits and assets that a resident can achieve in being a part of this rental unit project that you're developing. Whether it's financial literacy services, partnering with the workforce agencies to be able to get folks to work, to be able to move and grow and scale. And I think also making sure that we're looking for projects that are actively engaged in community. And so our ability to look through and review programs are going to be assessed across these 4 critical criteria. Within the application, there are more details that define the types of questions and criteria that are needed to be responded to during that time frame. But know that the information is there for you to continue to move forward. And I will walk through some of the application to ensure that folks understand exactly what we're asking within the process. And before I get to kind of a high level run through of the application itself, really wanted to make sure our residents and small businesses understood how to get this application submitted. The website is housing all of the information for this program. Additional and up-to-date information will be loaded on that website by noon tomorrow, which is Friday the 25th, or actually the 24th of June. And so again, Friday at noon on June 24th, we will have final updated information, including conflict of interest, the application itself, and all other subsequent documents that are required for a business or a developer to respond to this program. So I'm going to take a moment and switch over to the application and just give a quick run through about what's in the application for us to be considered, as well as running through the NOFA for a brief moment in time, just to give some constructive feedback and direction to ensure we're able to be successful at getting applicants to respond. So the NOFA is consisted of several components. I won't dive into them deeply, but I think it's really important to share what the NOFA looks like. So as you move through the NOFA, you're aware of the things you should be thinking about in your submission. And so clearly there's an introductory section that just provides an overview of the program itself and what the NOFA is intended to do. Section 2 provides more information about, one, the amount of the allocation, which I stated before, as well as communicating that this program is designed for 30% AMI and that we're soliciting proposals to partner with us to be able to execute the increase of 30% AMI rental units in our city. We also are talking about the eligible areas for development. As I mentioned earlier in our presentation, this program is focused on providing 30% AMI rental unit production within HUD qualified census tracts. And a link within the application would direct you to where you might locate, whether or not your project is within a HUD qualified census tract. But again, as I mentioned, most of North St. Louis is within a HUD qualified census tract, but I do encourage you to make sure you verify that, as that is one of these selection criteria, is to make sure that your project is located within a HUD qualified census tract. And so again, we talk about some of the eligibility. Private builders and developers and nonprofit community groups must demonstrate they have an appropriate housing development experience and sufficient financial capacity to deliver on the proposed projects. Again, ineligible parties are those who have been disbarred both at the state and federal level, as well as entities that have not paid or are current on their income and or property taxes within the city of St. Louis. The application process, there's 3 ways to submit the application. One is physical copies that can be brought to the St. Louis Development Office here down at 1520 Market Street in Suite 2000, or you can email copies of your application in to SLDC 30 nofa@stlewis-mo.gov. And you can also mail or use courier to have your application packet delivered to our office by August 4th at 4 p.m. And so the deadline for this program application is on August 1st. There is a publication that has been posted within the St. Louis American that has communicated that modification, extending the deadline from July 15th to August 1st. So please know that that publication that came out today is the most current, as well as the website for this program has been updated to reflect the extension of that application deadline. And so I also then want to take a moment, as I mentioned, to run through the application itself for a moment, to be able to give you some context around the information that's located, where things are in the document, and the information you might need to be able to complete that. So within the application, there's several tabs. So it's an electronic Excel file that we would ask you to complete in its totality and then submit back with the other documents that are required within your application. So tab 1 is the instructions that provides the overarching guidelines around the areas and sections that need to be completed, ensuring that you have in your own mind checked off all these boxes, if you will, to make sure you actually submit a complete and thorough application to SLDC by August the 1st by 4 p.m. Tab 1 is the application, which has several pages, I believe 16 pages, making sure that you provide information about the specific sites, all the way down through the project summary. And I won't go into grave detail, but the application page is definitely really important to ensure that you put all the information necessary and respond to every single question to ensure that your application is complete. There's also the development budget. This Excel spreadsheet has the formulas already located in it. And so you do not need to edit or modify, just simply enter information into the yellow sections that will allow the form to autofill, and also has the formulas within it to add and or subtract all necessary calculations to ensure that your budget and things that you submit are accurate as you move through the application process. As we move forward, there's just notion about construction costs, as the other tab, sources and uses, utilities, units and revenue, keeping in mind that the number of AMI units is also a very strong criteria for us, as we know we need more affordable rental units within 30% AMI across our city. So as you think about your project, really strongly consider what is the strongest mix of 30% AMI that you can have in your project, knowing that there may need to be a blend of market rate and or other levels of percentages of AMI. But remember, this application is focused on number of units that are 30% AMI and below. And I would strongly encourage organizations to think about the number of units or bedrooms within each unit, because we know that families in our city need more than 1 or 2 bedrooms. So projects that have 3 bedrooms will more than likely be able to be responding and scoring in a way that is successful in allowing our residents to have access to more 30% AMI units. Again, just moving through this application process, there's the operating budget, there is cash flow, the market value, the priorities that are associated with the project, as I mentioned earlier, proximity to transit, resources and services that are in close proximity are all beneficial things to ensure that our families at 30% AMI below have access to be successful as they grow and thrive. There's also the UD, the Universal Design Budget, that needs to be completed and certified. And then there's also the living wage acknowledgement within the project as well. And there's a few more sections I want to make sure we run through. Actually, there's one, I'm sorry. Then there's the 1099. So this process is really important for organizations to really follow the instructions in its totality. I believe a number of the respondents to this have the experience and used to this type of application, as this is very similar to NOFAs that have been used by our community development agency. And so we've used some of those tools to make it simple and not create a new pathway for others to navigate this process. So I think this is a very outstanding program. Again, if you have questions about the program, please feel free to reach out to SLDC by email as things move forward. We will be developing a Q&A that will be provided on the website for institutions and businesses to be aware of specific questions. And so as you submit your questions, we will update that Q&A on a weekly basis. Again, if you have questions, send your questions to SLDC, all caps, the number 30, NOFA, N-O-F-A, at stlouis-mo.gov. So again, I thank you all for being here, and we'll pause and see if we have any questions from those who are online with us today. And if we have no questions, I think we'll take an opportunity to give folks time back. Again, this webinar will be posted on the webpage with these instructions to encourage members of our community and developers to respond to this NOFA, to support us in partnership to create more affordable units for families that live in at 30% AMI. On behalf of SLDC and our CEO, Neil Richardson, I want to thank you for your time and your support to help us bring about economic justice in the city of St. Louis. Thank you so very much and have a wonderful evening.